Welcome to today's explainer. Go ahead and grab your mental lab coats, folks, because today we are running the ultimate hypothetical science experiment. As a science educator, I absolutely love pushing data models to the extreme. And today, we're analyzing what would happen if Earth simply decided to vent all of its internal pressure at the exact same moment. Yep, we're talking about a simultaneous, global volcanic eruption. Let's dive right into the mechanics of this apocalypse. Here is our lesson plan for today's explainer. We're going to cover 1. The ultimate science experiment, 2. The immediate blast zone, 3. The volcanic winter, 4. Toxic rain and dead oceans, and finally, 5. The long-term greenhouse flip. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The ultimate science experiment.
So, to really grasp the sheer scale of this scenario, we need to start with a number, 1,500. That's roughly the number of active volcanoes sitting just on land. But hey, our experiment doesn't stop there. We have to factor in the thousands of additional volcanoes completely submerged under the ocean. Imagine every single one of these geological pressure valves, from the massive peaks in the Andes all the way down to hidden fissures deep in the Pacific, just detonating all at once. This sheer volume of magma, gas, and energy released provides the baseline data for the catastrophic destruction that follows.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, the immediate blast zone.
Now, for anyone living near an active volcanic range, like the highly populated Ring of Fire, the immediate threat actually isn't a slow-moving river of lava. No, it's this, the pyroclastic flow. I definitely want you to burn this definition into your notes. A pyroclastic flow is a fast-moving cloud of superheated gas and dense volcanic matter. It hugs the ground, and it instantly incinerates or suffocates literally everything in its path. For millions of people in the immediate vicinity of these eruptions, well, survival just isn't an option.
You're wondering, hey, could we just evacuate? Consider this number, 700. These pyroclastic flows can reach absolutely terrifying speeds of 700 kilometers per hour. To put that into perspective for the class, that is the cruising speed of a commercial airliner. You can't outdrive it, and you certainly can't outrun it. It's a literal wall of instantaneous destruction, wiping out entire regions on the map before the rest of the world even comprehends what's happening. But wait, the people living inland near mountains aren't the only ones in the immediate blast zone. Remember those thousands of underwater volcanoes we talked about? When they violently erupt, they suddenly displace massive, almost unimaginable amounts of water. The resulting equation is simple but totally devastating. Thousands of underwater eruptions equal towering coastal tsunamis. We're talking massive walls of water crashing into literally every coastline on the planet. Between the pyroclastic flows and the tsunamis, the initial physical destruction is just staggering. Which brings us to Section 3, the volcanic winter. Believe it or not, the true global killer here is actually the output pumped high into the sky. Let's walk through the steps of this atmospheric blackout. Step 1. Unimaginable volumes of ash and sulfur dioxide are blasted straight up into the stratosphere. Because it's happening globally, it creates this incredibly thick, impenetrable blanket wrapping around the entire Earth. Step 2. This blanket completely blocks out the sunlight. And Step 3, the planet plunges into total pitch-black darkness. And our data shows this wouldn't just be for a couple of days. No, we are looking at months of total global night. Now, as a science teacher, I have to say this is where the atmospheric chemistry gets incredibly fascinating and, well, deadly. See, it's not just the physical ash blocking the light. There is a massive chemical reaction taking place way up there. The immense volumes of sulfur dioxide released by the volcanoes mix with water vapor, and this reaction creates sulfuric acid aerosols. You can think of these aerosols as trillions of tiny microscopic mirrors floating high above the clouds. Instead of letting solar radiation from the sun reach the surface to warm us up, these little aerosol mirrors reflect that heat right back out into space. The result of all those tiny mirrors? A staggering 10 to 15 degrees Celsius drop in global temperatures. That is a plunge of about 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And this isn't some gradual cooling over decades. This massive temperature drop happens within just a matter of weeks. Earth enters what we call the Big Chill. Tropical zones freeze solid, temperate zones become Arctic. The entire climate system as we know it simply crashes. And the biological domino effect of this darkness and deep freeze, it's absolute. It really represents the end of the line for most species. Look at the cascading failure here. With no sunlight penetrating the atmosphere, photosynthesis stops completely. The main biological engine that powers plant life simply shuts down.
Without photosynthesis, crops fail globally. Without crops, herbivores starve. Without herbivores, carnivores starve. It's a rapid, unforgiving, total collapse of the global food chain.
All right, let's move to Section 4, toxic rain and dead oceans.
You know the old saying, what goes up must come down. The massive amounts of volcanic gases we charted earlier, specifically highly corrosive compounds like hydrochloric acid and excess sulfur, they don't just stay up in the stratosphere forever. They eventually precipitate back to the surface as highly acidic rain. And guys, this isn't your standard, slightly acidic city rain. This is a corrosive downpour that literally burns away whatever resilient vegetation managed to survive the freezing darkness, and it completely contaminates the planet's remaining surface freshwater supplies. And the devastation definitely doesn't stop at the shoreline. The oceans essentially act as a massive sponge, absorbing huge quantities of these toxic acids. This causes a rapid, unprecedented spike in ocean acidity. Why does that matter? Because high acidity chemically dissolves calcium carbonate. That's the exact material that forms the shells of coral and microscopic plankton. When you dissolve the plankton, you decimate 100% of the marine food web base. The oceans quickly turn into a toxic, lifeless graveyard. Which leads us to our final act, Section 5, the long-term greenhouse flip. Let's quickly review our timeline to really grasp the scope of this planetary whiplash. In a matter of days, sunlight is totally blacked out. Within weeks, the global temperature plunges 15 degrees Celsius. Over the next few years, toxic acid rain scours the land and the oceans. But the most shocking plot twist is actually what happens next. For centuries after the event, we enter a period of extreme greenhouse warming. Today, we've traced the data from immediate explosive devastation to a pitch-black freezing winter to oceans of acid, and finally, to a suffocating centuries-long greenhouse oven. If our planet violently swings from an icebox to a greenhouse in such an incredibly short geological timespan, could any form of complex life realistically adapt fast enough to survive the ultimate climate whiplash? It is a terrifying, fascinating thought to leave you with. Thank you so much for joining me in analyzing today's data, and I'll see you for our next explainer.